real quick before you said something about head trauma, but are you going to hit me with something else too?
Yeah, we're going to.
I just interrupted that.
It's going to be another dad joke.
Oh, okay.
And it's pretty good, actually. I
feel like you say that every time.
Well, they're good to me because I'm a dad and I like dad jokes.
Some of our audience disagreed.
My humor.
Some of our
they're
audience
wrong.
disagreed. They are wrong. I can agree with that.
If you don't like our dad jokes, just
heck off.
Yeah,
I'll say it. Heck
off. I mean, just go ahead and say it. So,
love you, but heck off. Especially if you're family.
Yeah, and you don't like our dad jokes. That doesn't mean they're bad jokes.
No, they're dad jokes.
Exactly. Bingo. Oh, see what we did there? All right. At what time of day was Adam created? This one's actually kind of obvious once you hear it.
At what time of day?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say noonday. I don't know. Hit me.
No. A little before Eve. Oh, man. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
It's not wrong either.
It's not wrong.
Factual. It's factual information.
It's there.
Man, we're getting jokes and learning at the same time.
Yeah.
Folks, welcome to Faith and Frames, your new source for relative information and factual historical context.
Not to be confused with news source.
Yeah, that too.
Because we are certainly no source of news.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
So we've got an exciting episode. An awesome guest has agreed to come on.
For whatever reason.
Tell a little more about her later.
You gave it away again.
But to whet your appetite, as it were, she's a doctor. First off, let's just get that out of the cat out of the bag. She is a doctor.
How do we keep getting such high-profile guests?
Well, I think that honestly speaks to the importance of network and community.
True. That or they truly just feel sorry for us.
It could be all of the above. But anyway, we have Dr. Emily Franklin.
Dr. Emery. Welcome, Emery.
Sounds like my daughter. We have Dr. Emily Franklin with us. We will we'll bring her on after the break. But a quick little story. We're going to talk to her about making. So her husband was on an episode or two ago, Brandon Franklin spoke on making, and they run a YouTube channel and a really cool Instagram account called Themakerduo. We'll talk about that in a minute. Not going to talk about making at all. We're going to talk about head trauma first.
Oh, man, this is one near and dear to my heart and my head.
I see what you did there. That was not bad. Both of us have had our fair share of head trauma. Evidently, through my speaking, it's presenting itself today.
Yeah, yours is coming up right now.
Wow. You've probably had more of it than I, but one specifically. I remember I was snowboarding.
Yeah.
I was a new snowboarder, new to the slopes, which means I sucked, and which means
bunny.
Fell a lot.
You're a snowboarding bunny.
One of which I accidentally fell backwards and knocked my noggin.
Rocked that noggin.
On the snow, which is not all that soft.
No, people confuse snow for soft and fluffy, and it's not at times. Sometimes it's frozen and icy.
Yes, and this one was, and I hit my head and didn't know any of the ill effects associated with that. May have been concussed. I don't know. There's not a concussion protocol at Beach Mountain.
Surprising.
That I went into. So anyways, presented itself a couple days later in horrendous balance.
Yeah.
My equilibrium was off.
And you were certainly concussed.
Due to my network and my community, I was in school with Brandon. I just mentioned to him, and he said, "Oh, well, I think Emily can help you."
Nice.
So I believe I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. I believe it's called the Epley maneuver, something to that effect.
She's over here nodding in agreement.
Okay, so yeah, for those who can't, for those just audio only folk,
she's nodding in agreement.
Dr. Emily is nodding, so maybe I got it right.
Good job,
I'm so impressed right now.
There's
Good
an Epley
job.
maneuver.
You did listen.
And there are crystals, allegedly.
Not astrological crystals, by the way.
Yeah, you're not going to get any sort of horoscope from these, but they're crystals that typically reside in this canal, and when they're in the canal, everything's all hunky-dory. When they are not, everything is not hunky-dory. You may have experienced that with some of your head traumas. But anyway,
for sure.
Emily, we're going to talk about making. That was not about making. She helped me with her other expertise. Get my crystals realigned and restored my balance. So
little claps for that.
Very
for keeping
thankful
Captain
for that.
just on the equilibrium.
This was several years ago. I now snowboard with a helmet on. At the time, I didn't. So, like, disclaimer: don't go to the slopes without
Wear
a
helmet, kids.
Life's tough.
Protect that dome. Protect that dome.
So we'll bring Emily on after the break. Let's go ahead and thank this episode's sponsor.
I think I'm going to thank this episode's sponsor. This week's sponsor for Faith in Frames, episode 13, none other than Animals West of Greenville, Tennessee. At Animals West, your pets are our passion. Our dedicated team offers personalized care, advanced treatments, and a warm, loving environment. Because at Animals West, every tale tells a story.
See what you did there.
Visit Animals West today. Tony, Amanda, the crew down on the Newport Highway. Thank you for sponsoring this episode of Faith in Frames. Thank you for sponsoring Motion Creative Media. Guys, look them up, shout them out, take your pets, get them spayed, neutered. We don't need uncontrolled pet population in this area.
Yeah, get that under wraps.
But thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely.
Jared, meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Meat and taters. Hit me with it.
We've got a doctor in the house.
Woo!
Dr. Emily Franklin.
I think you're our first doctor guest, by the way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's definitely true.
About to get learned
Yes.
today.
Hey, on that specific note, is it learned or is it learned?
Learned.
I say
tough.
learned, but I don't know.
Well, so like I learned something,
Or is
right?
it learned?
Yeah.
But if you're describing, and here's where the wagon kind of falls off the rails. I referenced Step Brothers.
You're right.
So at that point, you may lose all credibility. Anyways,
You
maybe
did.
consider the source.
Yeah.
That's probably
Ouch.
telling you that it's wrong. But like he says, this is a house of learned doctors. So it's like, okay, if you're using it in that sense, learned almost makes more sense. Like you wouldn't say, it doesn't sound right to say, this is a house of learned doctors.
Learned. I don't know.
Learned becomes more of like a verb, I guess, in that sense. I don't know.
I'm totally off either way. I just say learned.
Anyway, we have a doctor in the house. Dr. Emily Franklin, physical therapy, correct?
Yes.
Welcome.
And I am so impressed with how you described benign paroxysmal positional vertigo in such good layman's terms.
Oh,
like,
describe
my
that.
gosh.
you did such a good job. And I'm going to probably relearn
little claps for that,
how to
Captain.
describe it to
Yeah.
my patients to tell them
What an eclectic
easier.
vocabulary
Listen,
you
I'm
have.
a layman's term kind of guy.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it was really helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Love it.
So you fix
But that's the
Colloquialize.
only time we're talking about physical therapy on this podcast. This is not a
No.
doctorate
Well,
level,
trust
Okay,
me.
okay.
I
That's
will
a
level
show.
podcast at
I will
all.
actually. I've reached the extent of my physical therapy knowledge, so
Yeah.
I can bring no more to this
You
discussion.
did so good,
if we
though.
stay there.
You did good. Again, little claps for that. Great terminology.
But what I do want to talk about,
Accurate terminology.
you and your husband are incredibly entertaining and intriguing to follow because you guys do the most seemingly obscure projects. Like I look up, and if I'm
Yeah.
not talking to you guys in a bit, I look up and then it's like, oh, they're restoring a 19 whatever's
Yeah.
Airstream from the ground up. Why? You know, like that. I didn't see that
Yeah.
coming.
And then the week after that, they're running like a steampunk toaster business.
I mean, I don't know about all that. I don't even know what that is, but
They
we'll
do.
roll with it.
They do. They're in the costume world.
So you guys seriously are so fascinating, and you run an account called Themakerduo, and we talked briefly off camera as to what that is. But I'm curious, and I'm sure the listeners are too. What is the origin of that? Themakerduo.
Yeah.
So I knew that I was going to get asked that. So I went back in my records on my Instagram account and I started the Maker Duo in October of 2020.
Yeah.
I felt like it was kind of on a whim because I was just watching TV that night and I was like, oh, I'm just going to start the Maker Duo. I like that name. It sounds really cool. And I'm going to go ahead and start an account before I forget. And, wake
Very
up the next
good.
morning and then lose all, ability to do that.
Right.
Right.
So it really wasn't on a whim though. Like Brandon and I had already done 10 years worth of projects at that point and not filmed anything.
Yep.
When we first got married in 2009, in 2010, we were remodeling a foreclosure house.
Nice.
Like it was awful. It should have been condemned. We should not have been living in it, but that's what we could afford at the time. And the housing market,
Oh, yeah.
everything was foreclosure. So you just went with it and it was, but yeah, so we started immediately creating and making, and we actually even said while we were doing that was, oh, we should start a YouTube channel
Yeah, you should.
of all the stuff we're learning because as newlyweds we didn't know anything and we had no tools.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
were
yeah.
doing crown molding with a little saw
Yep.
that by hand. Like
Is it a little yellow
Oh, yes.
plastic?
It was a plastic yellow. Yes, that's what we could afford at the time.
I actually had that same thing.
We did all the crown
absolutely.
molding with that.
Side note, imagine getting into YouTube in 09.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I know. We think about that all the time. We're
Not
like,
to break your heart or anything, but
if we had done it, if we could have afforded a camera at that time, or anything, we hindsight is 2020, and we,
missed the boat
You
there.
just think of like, oh, social media, it's weird. I don't know.
Now we're never going to take off.
Going to bring trolls,
it was
people
a
going to know where I
novelty back
live, that kind of thing. So it's just really weird at that time. Fast forward 10 years later, a lot of things learned, and hindsight is 2020, and we should have just started, just
Absolutely.
start.
Just hit record.
Yeah.
Just hit record.
Just hit record. Pay for the camera. Take out another student loan. It's no big deal.
I love it.
But I still
Financial advice
had,
too.
Yeah, you're welcome. Loans, they're helpful. But I still had no social media presence like 10 years later.
Yep.
But Brandon did. Like he was posting every once in a while of like just Brandon stuff.
Yeah.
Brandon is my husband, and he is the Franklin Forge. He is the maker for bladesmithing and stuff
Just
like that.
overall good looking dude.
Absolutely.
I mean, I married him, but
There you go.
anyways,
a
Brandon.
little steamy.
Forged in desire.
Yeah, y'all started
Next
that.
level.
Ridiculous. That goes to his head, I'm sure. But Brandon was really doing good about like posting nerdy stuff. He likes NASA. He likes tinkering,
Right.
and he just like lets his personality show through on social media and just leaves it to the public,
Right.
and just lets everybody see it, which is crazy to me.
Kind of the best way to do it, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
It's kind of how social media works.
Yeah, turns out that is how it works.
Yes.
Because then people just like, like
They'll
he kind
find
of
it.
found his people.
Yep.
Like these nerds came out of nowhere
Yes.
from all over the country and would like come, and just bounce ideas off of him or be
Right.
like, that is so cool. And I'm like, that's amazing feedback.
Yeah. Shout
And
out
I
nerds.
remember one person sent him, it was like a little tray that goes on his nightstand, and it was like space themed.
Okay.
And they just sent it to him. He has no idea who this person is.
Wow.
They just sent it to him, and they're like, we just thought you'd like this. And I was like, Brandon, you just got fan mail.
Turns out
Yeah,
I love
it really
it.
did.
That's amazing. From another nerd.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like
Right.
he just found his little people over just posting his little nerdy things.
Did you know or realize on wedding day that you were marrying a celebrity?
Oh, jeez.
I've never gotten sent a
Nothing.
NASA themed nightstand tray.
Yeah.
Never
yeah.
ever.
I mean, in his defense, it took like 10 years of me making him into that.
Oh, okay. So
So behind every
So-
good
so,
maker,
hey.
there's
Yeah,
another maker
there is,
making him.
somebody behind
okay,
the
I got you.
scenes, very behind the scenes.
Right.
I'm definitely the behind the scenes kind of person, very private
Yes.
person. This is my worst nightmare, actually being here. I cannot
wow.
believe
You're doing
y'all,
good so
y'all
far.
dragged me into this.
You're doing
It's
great
not
so
true.
far.
but
It's not true.
But yeah, I think that was the light bulb moment. Going back to it was Brandon getting fan mail of another nerd and
Yep.
just finding his people.
Yes.
So without social media, like I don't know how you find those people.
That would have been
like
really
how
difficult.
would you meet and talk to that person? So I decided, okay, I'm just going to make a public account
Yep.
and start posting random things that we're working on because we're always tinkering and
Yes,
something.
you
We're
are.
not the type of people that just come home and sit down and watch TV. Like we are always like, what are we getting into tonight?
Yes.
And so I'm just like gonna just post a couple stuff. I like to sew, and
Yes.
and maybe I'll find some like really cool people.
Yeah.
And if I find trolls, I'll just cancel the account. Like I don't,
Yeah.
I don't have time for that.
Right.
I've got other things going on too.
And the sewing comes from your costume designs, correct? Because you guys are big into like I'm not going to call it like cosplay, but
Brandon was more into the cosplay, and
Okay.
then I was just raised with a Mennonite mother.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
sewing, you sit down in front of the sewing machine
just
at
know
the
how to
age
make
of 5,
clothes.
And
yeah.
you do
and
it.
you start sewing
Yeah.
at a very
Nice.
young age.
But that's a very handy skill. It's
Oh
a
my
skill that
gosh.
is very
Yeah.
useful in a lot of
I
cases.
use it all the time.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
I had a patch on my hat that was falling off, and the person I go to is my Nana because she's the one that knows how to sew.
Yeah.
I personally don't sew.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
a very
I
handy
respect that.
skill. That is my one skill.
That's not
But
true.
you're good at it.
That's not true. You're shortchanging yourself there. So yeah, the Maker Duo. You guys have done several projects.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hit some of the high points. You guys renovated a very dilapidated storefront in Irwin,
Irwin,
correct?
Tennessee.
So you documented that.
Terribly, because that was my first project when I started the Maker Duo. I drove by this dilapidated building from 1930 in a little small town in Irwin, and I had a for sale by owner sign in the window.
Nice.
And I just pulled in because I had already consciously, when I started this Themakerduo account, I also consciously had decided to start taking action and saying yes to projects that I had no business just doing at all.
Right.
And so I drove by that building, and it was ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's a good starter project. I
Nice
don't
little
have to
investment.
put any money down
Right.
hardly. And I'm gonna remodel this.
Yes.
Oh yeah, big dreams.
No
Yeah,
business
big
remodeling it, but
dreams.
we're going to
No.
do it.
I mean, the
Yeah.
channel is called The Maker.
Well,
Maker Duo, so you got to make something.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that's what inspired me to kind of do those things. Was I created this channel, and I'm like, well, crap, now I got to actually
Now
do
I have
stuff.
to.
Yeah,
That's what you call leveraging yourself.
I did. Yeah.
So I think one thing that is important to note here is like, okay, you made that account. You now have this project. So you've got to do it. And so that helped alleviate the fear that a lot of people, I think, never get out of the gate with.
Yeah, you
is
had no choice.
You had no choice. And so the fear of, well, I'm not the expert. No one's going to watch this. This isn't entertaining. I can bring no value to anyone's life with this, whatever. But no, you had to do it. Otherwise, you've made this investment. You've made this account basically for nothing.
Yes.
Goes back to the old saying: "You burned the ships."
Yes.
Burned
Like the Vikings?
Yes, you burned them.
And what I did was I made that account, and then I put it on Facebook. That to all of my on Facebook, it's just my high school friends who.
Right.
I haven't talked to in like 20 years
Right.
anyway. But I put it on Facebook that I had made this account. So I knew I couldn't back down.
Yeah, because
Otherwise I would just create the account and then I
yeah.
still wouldn't do anything with
Right.
it. So yeah, I totally, I forced myself into a hole.
Yeah.
And it worked.
So the really cool thing with that though is even though you say that you guys didn't do a good job of documenting it, I really enjoyed watching your guys' renovation updates. I enjoyed seeing the progress because that's what I really enjoy doing the same thing is it's really cool to see start to finish. Transformations are so really cool to see
Yes.
and the world's just inundated with them.
Yes.
But
Well, and you say this a lot too. I think for people like you guys who are makers and creators, you guys can walk into an abandoned building in a small town in Tennessee, and where a lot of people would just say, "Nah, we need to tear that down." You guys are like, "No, I think there's something here." Dilapidated as it may be,
Right.
as bad a shape as it may be in, I think there's something so noble in just restoring something.
I agree. I love that whole idea behind it.
Yeah,
Of
it's
like,
just noble.
yeah, it's from 1938. This thing went through 2 world wars.
Bingo.
Like, oh my goodness,
Like,
we
she's
are
tough. She's a
saving
tough
it.
old girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's the same thing, just like that. I've watched you on a far smaller scale, like when we've been filming with your husband in his forge. You'll see a pile of scrap wood, and then in no time you're over there cutting
Whipping
things
it up into
and I'm like,
earrings.
oh, well, yeah, that's really cool. I didn't see that. And so, like, you guys,
I was about to burn
I
that.
think I was just raised with like you don't waste anything, you don't waste food, you
No.
eat it all, you
Yes.
use every little piece. So
Right.
Brandon was making these knives and he was using this beautiful, beautiful wood. And there was like little offcuts of it, and I was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, give me all the offcuts.
That's
and
what
then
you were
I
making
started
earrings.
making
Yeah.
I started making earrings out of them.
so is the creativity side, the desire to create, the desire to make, is that out of your upbringing of waste not, or is it something that you've just always had in you?
Okay.
It can be both.
Yeah.
So
There's no wrong answer here.
yeah, just need to unpack it with a therapist though, probably.
Oh Lord, we are
Yeah.
not that.
Yeah, we're
So
not
yeah,
therapists.
so I'll tell you what I think, and then y'all can tell me, refer me to a therapist. But yeah, so Brandon and I were raised very differently. I feel like
Yep.
Brandon was really not given any chance at life,
Right.
as far as that goes. As far as like the skills, like he didn't really, his family didn't really care to like give him any skills,
Quite
you know?
teach.
Yeah, there was no teaching. And so until when he was 15, his stepdad came into the picture.
Right.
All of a sudden he had a full mechanic shop. This poor boy who just wanted to take a computer and take it apart,
Yes.
much probably to his mother's dismay, and then try to put it back together again. You know, he suddenly had a whole shop.
He had a playground.
Yes, with
Sandbox.
space for him to use. And it came with a stepbrother that also liked to
Awesome.
to do stuff.
That's a beautiful story.
Yes,
the
so
recipe
all of
now.
a sudden he was like a maker, and he just just loved to tinker, and he really got to thrive on that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I'm growing up with a Mennonite mother and then a religious zealot of a father is what I would say. So I was put on this earth to cook and sew and probably have children.
Yep.
Right.
And so I was like just not thriving with that. Brandon wasn't thriving with his way because traditional school is you go to school, you're there for 8 hours, and you're supposed to sit there quietly and learn. And Brandon's hands-on. So by high school, he just quit going.
Miserable.
Like he just was not into that at all. It was not traditional school completely failed him.
Well, that doesn't fit a lot of people.
No, no. And it fit me very well though.
There you go.
I have all the highlighters.
Okay.
I have, I'm
You're
very studious.
Yeah, I'm looking at your notes
quiet.
right here, and you're writing
My
in
notes are
different colored
beautiful.
ink.
You're
Yes,
very organized.
Yes. So, because school was made for me. I
Well,
was
you were
very
raised in
good with
structure
that.
too. Correct
Yes,
me if I'm
very,
wrong.
very structured, not hands-on at
Yep.
all, because I wasn't supposed to be. My dad had all these skills, and he had $3 instead of 3 sons.
Mm-hmm.
So he felt like his responsibility to pass on those skills stopped with him. And it's such a disservice because he had so many skills that he could have passed down, and
But
he just didn't
traditionally,
feel like he
though,
needed to.
Traditionally, though, and not to get like super deep into like denominational talk or anything, but in the Mennonite tradition, the family unit is essentially the women are the housekeepers,
Absolutely.
taking care of that, and the men are the ones that go out and they work, they construct things.
Absolutely.
And so
I have two daughters.
And so they followed on
you
that.
have inspired me.
Please be the dad that still teaches them how to change the oil.
Okay.
Still teaches them it's okay to get dirty.
Yeah.
Right.
Get out of the house,
Yep.
go do anything hands on, because it's like I flocked to Brandon when I first met him in college. He was obviously flunking out. He's a first generation college kid. So
Attaboy.
he did not know how to drop a class. He didn't know how to not take out a predatory student loan. He didn't, all these things that he didn't know.
Right.
And he was just really struggling in college. Meanwhile, I show up in the picture.
Bingo.
I have all the highlighters.
Yeah,
like
you
I
do.
said. I am so studious.
gotta have them highlighters.
Bingo.
And so I was teaching him how to study.
Yeah.
Because that is a skill that you have to actually learn.
It is.
And he
Right.
did not know how to do that. And he was so willing to teach me like computer skills.
Yeah.
Symbiotic.
Because I didn't know any computer skills, obviously.
Right.
And hands-on stuff. And we were a team
Yes.
approach from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, really cool. It worked
That is
really well
neat.
for us.
Especially because, again, totally different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we flocked towards each other because we both had what each other was missing.
Yeah.
I have noticed that.
That's how you build a team.
I have literally noticed that through all of our conversations in the Forge thread. Anything where we're trying to schedule like a shoot day or anything like that, Brandon may not respond, but he doesn't have to.
Right.
Because you are the keeper of his schedule. You keep him on task so that he can focus on
What he's good at.
what he's good at. And so, the team aspect is evident from anybody who's ever dealt with you guys. So we're talking about making. We've dove into the creation desire, right? And so one thing that I would like to mention and get your opinion on is because you guys aren't professional, you don't have a background in filmmaking or anything like that.
No,
but
it shows.
well, no, that's not what I'm getting at. So what I was going to ask though is like, okay, what things are working for you guys in regards to content creation so that you can get these things out so that social media can find that audience for you, the nerds, as you called them earlier, because that's what it will do. If you put it out there enough, it will learn you and it will put your stuff in front of the right people.
Brandon
What do you
will
think?
get more nightstand astronaut.
Yeah.
Bingo. What do you think
thrives
works
off
for
of
you
those.
guys in the content creation space?
I actually don't have an answer for that yet because I feel like we're still in the thick of it of like figuring that out.
Well, so what doesn't work?
Yeah.
Or what have
What
you
have you noticed doesn't
what
work?
have you noticed?
I'm not really sure because I have been doing this for almost 3 years now,
Right.
and I still have less followers on my Themakerduo account than I do on my private profile.
Not important.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit actually.
We
So-
talk about that all the time.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
be
because I'm
surprised.
like, whatever I'm doing, it's not working. But the whole goal of the Maker Duo was, Brandon's very good about posting his knife making every day because that's what he does and that's his niche. But there's so many projects on the side that we're also doing,
Right.
and just posting on the Maker Duo that we're also doing all these other things was the whole goal of it. And then just finding those like-minded people,
Right.
So yeah, I only have like 400 followers on Instagram with the Maker Duo, but I will say it has been totally worth it already.
Yeah.
Just starting this account because I'm an introvert. So when I go into Walmart and I run into somebody that I haven't seen in a year, everybody's worst nightmare. They say, "Hey, what you been up to?" Oh, as an introvert, that's like the worst question ever.
Yes.
There's no quality
Right.
of conversation with that question. So
I
if
should
you
have
ask
just
me
dove
that,
into this aisle so you couldn't see me.
yes,
Bingo.
yes, I should have just hid behind the cornflakes. So I will just say, "Oh, nothing's going on with me. How's it going with you?"
Right.
That's a lie. There's a million things going on with me.
I was
There's
gonna
a million
say-
things going on with you,
Yes,
but
there
there's
is.
no quality in that starter of a
Right.
conversation for an
Yeah.
introvert.
Right.
We're not going to come up with anything over that. So now
Yep.
when I run into that person in Walmart that I haven't seen in a year,
Well, glad you asked.
they say, "Oh my goodness, Emily, I just saw
Yep.
you working on the Airstream last week. That looks like a freaking nightmare. Tell me more about that."
Yep.
That
So now
is
you
a
have to
quality
respond, yeah.
conversation. And I'm fine with that because as an introvert, like we love that kind of stuff.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, so it has been just from the local community of coming up to us and be like, "Oh my goodness, like tell me more about like
Yeah.
your struggles over here."
Right.
It has been so much more fun, so much more quality conversations, and the friendships that you make are so much better. Like having that common ground already instead of just the whole "How are you?"
Yeah.
So you made a point, and I think, and I don't want to breeze over this. You made a point. You feel kind of down that your Maker Duo account is smaller than your personal. I think that happens a lot because if you think we've started our personal accounts, golly, back in high school,
Yeah, or
probably,
however long.
and you didn't start it as a business. You started it as truly just a way to connect with people. But as a business, I think what you just said it as an example of people approaching you in public,
Right.
you may not have the quantity of following, but it sounds like the quality.
Yes.
The people who are there are there.
They are
Yes,
there. Like
they're
they want to
invested.
know.
Yep.
We just sawed a 4-foot hole into the floor of this Airstream.
Yeah.
How are we gonna fix this, boys? Like that's
they care.
Right. They care about that. Yeah, they're invested.
Yeah,
They're
invested
they want me
for
to
that.
succeed.
Yes.
They are
Right.
so invested, and I prefer that over like Brandon doesn't care. Like he can have so many followers, he can have trolls, he can have people make
Doesn't
fun of
matter
his
to him.
hair. It just doesn't matter to him.
Yep. Right.
But that's not what I was going for. I was just I
Right.
want to post some projects that we've got going on, and if you're interested, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
basically how you have to do it. So right now you're primarily on Instagram, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. I want to encourage you. Seriously, I can see it now. You guys could have a fantastic YouTube channel.
Yes. For that long form stuff, because here's the thing: on Instagram, you can only give so much information before people just, again, even if they're invested, Instagram is not an investment platform. People don't go to Instagram to invest in a project; they go to get a snippet of it.
Yep.
On YouTube, though, they go to get just a small piece of it. But on YouTube, that's where you can build, as we call it, the living room.
Yep.
Where
Yeah.
people are coming in, they're chilling on the couch, and they are watching this Airstream unfold.
Yep.
And whatever it may unfold into,
I'm such a behind the scenes person. I think it's from my Mennonite background where, we were never allowed to be on camera or like,
Right.
Like
You're
that was
pretty
just,
reserved
that was
people anyways.
frowned upon anyway. Of like putting yourself out there is a huge no-no.
Yes.
And so just being on camera, it took me forever to even be okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
Like
And now we've got you blasted onto an 80-inch monitor.
I did not know there's video involved with this.
Oh, yeah. This is not an audio only podcast.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah,
so for
just
those-
found that out. So
So for those listening, there is video as well. But yeah, so talking to a camera, being in front of a camera, we tell this to all of our clients because they utter those same statements. It is not natural.
No.
Talking to this lens, this piece of glass, is very intimidating for
It freezes
many
a lot of people.
Yeah, because it's not natural. You don't get that human feedback. You don't get
No.
that human connection.
It's a black box.
Yes, with
Yes.
electrical components, glass, all of these things. But it's not very natural. It's very intimidating, and until you get really good at it, but you're only going to get good at it by just
Repetition.
doing it.
yes.
Repetition.
You mentioned that you're an introvert and you don't enjoy being on camera. But I see so many YouTube channels. They're not even faceless in the sense of like you don't see humans on them.
Right.
but they don't put the face speaking on camera because that's not what their audience desires.
Just document the process.
Document the process. I really think a great recipe for you guys, because you already do it through stories.
Yeah.
I noticed this on Instagram.
Yep.
You guys do really well with time lapses.
Yeah.
And those are really good for documenting, and people can consume those in a long. You could string 3, 4, 5, 6 time lapses together in a longer video and just narrate it.
Yeah.
Voiceover. Because here's the thing, people on YouTube are going to watch that and they're going to maybe know what you're doing on camera, but they may not understand the why or the thought process as to like why you guys did this for this particular section of the Airstream.
Which encourages engagement.
Which encourages engagement, but you guys can narrate it and be like, okay, so the reason why we're putting this piece of plywood here as opposed to metal or whatever, like you can explain those things. I think that would be a really, really powerful recipe for a great YouTube channel because people will watch that.
I think too, it just gives you guys again a playground to hone different skills because we've mentioned the Airstream project. Another one that fascinates me just because the content itself to me is a very like flowy, pretty style content is like the sailboat.
Yes,
I have some YouTubers that I follow that have gone on these like Icelandic expeditions on a 1700s style boat where it's sails only, and like the content's just so pretty.
Yep.
So like you guys have so many different facets within the Maker Duo. We talked with Brandon about niching in the knife world, but in the Maker Duo, like that's a playground, and I think it's a cool thing for you guys to flex those different skills that that you now have, and also flex the learning process. Because I'm sure on the surface, nothing between Airstream and sailboat aligns.
Right.
But maybe in the deeper part of the process, there's some crossover that, hey, we learned this while restoring the Airstream, and I think we can apply it to the sailboat restoration.
True.
Or, vice versa.
Yeah.
Project to project. I think that's a playground for you guys to flex those new skills that you're gaining, from project to project.
And I do think, like, right now, when I post my Instagram, I'm like, there's so much more that went into that photo or that video. Like, I need a 20-paragraph caption to explain everything versus if I just talked over it.
Or
like,
a
it would
YouTube
explain
video.
Everything.
There you go.
And,
or a YouTube
do
video.
the YouTube video and just talk over it. And, like, I can get all my points across.
Well, and again, because attention spans on Instagram, Instagram is not designed for people with attention spans.
That's true.
But for somebody who needs to give that detail, give them the snippet. Let that be a good little hook to get them to the living room.
Yeah.
So challenge for next podcast.
Challenge.
I actually post some videos.
Start that YouTube channel.
I'm serious.
Start that YouTube channel.
And so here's the thing. Garrett mentioned it in a couple episodes ago now, maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago now. There's going to be mud that you're going to have to wade through with YouTube. And YouTube can be very discouraging.
Can be.
I mean, so the thing that it happens in all social media, kind of like Mike Tyson said, social media has allowed people to say things about people that doesn't result in a mouth hit.
Yep.
You can say things on social media with no repercussions of being hit in the mouth.
And
and
hide behind that screen.
The other thing too with social media is so many things are numbers and metrics only, like views, likes, comments. We see it as like, oh, well, this thing got 22 likes. You see it as a number. No, 22 humans
are digging
to interact with that piece of content. And so the big thing with YouTube, and it helps with starting YouTube, is like if you're getting low views, because you're going to, if you're getting low views and you get 30 views on this video, what you need to realize is picture that as 30 people literally in your living room. 30 human bodies in your living, because that's what it is.
They're picking up what you're putting down.
That then adds merit to it and is encouragement to be like, you know what? No, if I had 30 people in this room, that'd be a lot of people now.
Yeah, imagine 30 people on your sailboat. It's a lot of people.
But that's really what it is. Like if you make a sailboat video, it's 30 people on your sailboat.
They're on the boat with you.
This is crowded. And so it's just going to continue to grow, and keeping those things in mind are the best pieces of advice in the realm of encouragement that I can give.
Yeah, especially for someone who is maybe a little frightened about the YouTube world, about being on camera. And I think your approach truly could be that let's just document the process. You're already documenting the process. So you've got all the
I'm
footage.
already trying to be good about filming now.
Yeah, you're already documenting the whole process, but put that whole process out along with your breadcrumbs on Instagram.
Yes. Don't abandon those.
Yeah, don't abandon those, because that builds your funnel. And we talk about building funnels a lot in regards to social media, because no, if I try to throw a 15-minute video on Facebook or Instagram, I'm giving them like all of this.
You're giving them the zebra or the elephant.
Yeah, I'm giving them the elephant, but they can't handle that yet. They don't trust me as a creator yet to want to stay on that video. But when I give them breadcrumbs and spark that curiosity, they're like, "Oh, okay, let's see if he's backing up what he's talking about in these breadcrumbs."
Yep.
And then once they see that, you build trust with your audience.
True.
That's where you get the people coming up to you saying, "Oh my gosh, tell me about the Airstream."
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so you're building trust with your audience and you're building trust with your following. And it does. It takes all of those different aspects and those different plays to be able to do that.
Yeah. I certainly am going to encourage and challenge you. Because we
Y'all
talked
always do.
We talked off camera. You've already got a new project in the works. I don't know how I'm going to like reprimand you for not, but I better see some YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Come out from this.
Do I have a deadline? I do better if you give me a deadline.
If you need a deadline, we can come up with one. I don't know the full scope of the project, so I don't. We'd have to.
When does the project start? And just so
This
the
new
audience
one?
knows. Yeah.
Oh, geez, I don't have a deadline for this one. Okay, so
And what is the new project? Just so the
yeah,
audience
so let's
knows.
talk about that. So some couples will fight about money. You know, Brandon and I at 12:30 last night, we were like, "Hey, I need to start on this project," and Brandon's like, "Okay, I'll go get it." He thought we were going to start on the car, which is in pieces that we just bought to restore.
That's the new project.
This is 12:30 at night. This is not the new project that I was talking about. I was like, absolutely not. I said it's December. We're doing a Christmas quilt.
Oh,
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, that
Again,
is a
two
totally
ends of the
appropriate.
spectrum.
Yeah, this is a totally appropriate Christmas project.
True.
Not a remodeling a car.
Right.
Obviously at 12:30 at night.
a 1948
Obviously,
Ford.
neither one of them made sense at 12:30 at night. But we actually compromised and we started on both.
There you go.
So that is our new
Again,
project.
talking about leveraging yourself.
So the big project though.
Yeah. So the big project is there was a car. I don't even know what it is. It's a very old car, but
an
it looks
old Ford.
just. It looks like the Harry Potter car.
No.
The flying Harry
It's not
Potter
a Ford,
car.
it's Triumph.
That's right.
Oh,
that's
a
right,
Herald
that's right.
Triumph. Yes.
That's right.
I don't know anything about cars. This is a
You at least
project
knew the
that
name.
we are going to teach me on, but it's okay. I'll get him back with the sewing project.
There you
So,
I like it.
but
a
yeah,
little bit of revenge
so
there.
this is what happened with the Airstream too. Was somebody was trying to restore an Airstream and they got in way over their head, and so we took it and
Yep.
we restored it.
Right.
And
You
then
wanted
this
to get
was
way
like
in
the,
over your head.
Yeah, and then we also hated our lives for
There
3
you go.
months. And then this vehicle, it was somebody trying to restore it, and they got in over their head,
Mm-hmm.
and so they passed it off to us, and we are going to try to restore it. And we'll just keep you posted.
I think it's
I don't know the
very
first thing about
Christmas
cars.
appropriate. You guys are like the island of misfit toys
Okay.
from Rudolph. Okay, I think that's very Christmas appropriate. We're in December right now.
Right.
I think you guys are very appropriate there. You're the island of misfit toys, and,
Yeah.
and I love it. I'm
Yeah.
here for it. But again, you're transcending different genres. You're transcending, sewing to sailboating to
yes.
airstreaming,
All the
back to
genres.
cars. Like I love it.
All the
He's done
genres last
motorcycles in the
night.
past.
You guys,
Yeah.
this is strictly from like an analytical algorithm standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, if you guys lean into these, which again, I'm challenging you, and there will be some sort of reprimanding. If not,
Mm-hmm.
we'll figure that out later, but it's going to happen because I just know you need to do this.
Yeah.
You guys are going to hit so many different people. You're going to hit the people who are specifically how to airstreaming, how to whatever. So you're going to hit the how to people. You're going to build rapport with people who literally just attach to your all's personalities.
Right.
You're going to attach to the people who you're inspiring and you don't even realize, because what you're going to do through these videos, you're going to inspire someone to be like, I can do that.
Yeah.
You're going to inspire someone to be like, you know what? I've always had desire to restore a car. And now I've just, they put me over the top. I've got the inspiration. Now I can go do it.
So let me ask you this, Jared, is with the Maker Duo specifically, because it is not just airstreaming, not just sailboating, do you think that there is a niche there, though, to be had with what they do? Like just a niche of, again, makers. Just is that a niche all in itself?
It's making, but also there's a lot of, if you think about it, there's a lot of just restoring.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a niche. Restorations.
I do love that idea too. Was
Yeah.
just restoring
Yeah.
something old that nobody's really given a chance.
Yes. There's so many symbolic things there that we could unpack in another episode. But I mean, I really, really, really want to encourage you guys and challenge you guys to start that YouTube channel. You're gonna have mud, so you got to wade through it, but it will find the appropriate audience, and I know people are going to attach to you guys because
For
you
sure.
guys seriously are so fascinating. And I mean, I'm attached to you guys, so and I know I'm not the only person.
Well, I think it's a cool opportunity because if you guys will commit and give yourself, I'm going to say 6 months to a year, because I believe with how radiant your guys' team,
Yep.
The 2-person team is.
Yep.
Again, I think a lot of people will attach to it, but so the niche that I'm in on YouTube is cameras. Very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Because there's a million creators out there in the camera world specifically. There's a million photographers, there's a million videographers. And so I have a hard time sometimes differentiating myself in that niche. But with what you guys do, your dynamic is so different than, because I've watched restoration YouTube channels, and there is no dynamic like the one that you guys have.
Yeah.
Again, you are spot on with scheduling and being direct with what you guys need. The
Brandon is more of a fly by the seat of his pants.
Yeah, Brandon's kind of fly by the seat of his pants, but he's also very creative on the fly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he doesn't have to have a lot of planning.
Right.
You're the planned person, and he's the one that's like, nope, I think I can do it this way, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So your guys' dynamic, I think, would be a big differentiator from other restoration channels that I've seen on YouTube, which I think would equal faster growth.
You're also because you guys are doing these things without like a true blueprint. You're learning things on the fly.
Yeah.
Someone who may be also restoring an Airstream may discover you, and you can help alleviate some of those pain points for them.
Yes.
Things we learned, like,
So many.
you know what I'm saying? Like, there are so many things for you guys that you guys can be helpful.
Or you may find another giant. I know Brandon mentioned that on his episode. You may find a giant in the Airstream world that's like, no, I can help you guys with this. So not only are you giving information,
meeting more people.
right, but you're opening yourself up to, maybe the expert in that.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to open yourself up to the expert in Triumph cars.
There you
in
go.
that restoration process to where maybe you don't totally have to figure things out from scratch, but you'll find yourself a mentor.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
that then opens you up to a whole new demographic of people, network that can get very deep very quickly.
Which
Well, you're
is the
gonna
whole
be-
point, really,
Bingo.
of starting this.
Well, you're going to get in the room with those nerds.
Yes.
Other people just
We're
like
so
you.
excited.
No, I'm serious. That is so exciting because you're already passionate about this stuff.
Yes.
You're going to be in rooms and circles with other people who are equally as passionate about it, and so you can just geek out about it.
Yes.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
Maybe more passionate.
Possibly.
Yeah, that's never been the problem about wanting to come home and just create or do something.
We talk about that all the time. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that desire exists? Garrett and I talk about it all the time, but I'm curious on your thoughts.
I don't know. I think at first it started with oh my goodness, there's a person in my life that actually wants to teach me something that I
Okay.
was told my whole life that I had no business
Ooh.
Sure.
knowing. It's kind of like a,
Right.
take that. I can do this. I am smart.
Would you say it
Somewhat.
always existed though? It was just untapped.
Like maybe you always had that urge to learn. You had the desire to
Yes,
learn, and
I've
maybe because
always
it
wanted to
was,
learn.
and it was
So,
kind
yeah,
of
I
shut. The
think
door was
so.
shut on you.
Yeah.
I guess growing up. So then you found that, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
that was like taken,
Yeah.
from me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe. What do you think?
No, so we think that we were created by a maker, and we, if you read the Bible, it says we're created in His image. I think we have those tendencies and those desires because we too were created,
right, with very intentional design.
Yeah, and so I think even in your case, looking back at it, you may be like, well, maybe I never had it, maybe I didn't. I would argue that you did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was always there.
Well, again, your maker created you that way,
You just-
and
your
even
door
though
just-
it was shut off.
Yeah, your door just wasn't opened until you met Brandon, and then it was, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important. And seriously, the biggest thing your husband talked about it on his episode a few weeks ago. Just put it out there.
Yeah.
Just put it out there. Just hit record. Just do it because you can never know who you're going to inspire, who's going to be seen by this, and what kind of inspiration you're going to be for somebody.
Yeah,
That was the hardest part. And I know for 10 years, it was in the back of my mind of
Yeah.
like, I should do this. And
Yeah.
then it wasn't until I think it was a New Year's resolution where I was like, I'm going to just start taking more action and
Bingo.
stop overthinking.
Yeah.
You may be the
everything.
only New Year's resolution that has lasted more than 3 months.
Yeah, certainly.
'Cause you're
the-
10
Oh,
years
I
in.
always do. Yeah.
You're 10 years into a
that's just my
resolution right now.
personality.
That's
Okay.
unheard of. But I don't
Yeah.
think either. I don't think that you'll ever regret
No.
sharing information or sharing the process.
So far,
again,
it's been amazing. Like
Bingo.
it was so much more than I thought it would be.
Well, I mean, not to get morbid, but like seriously, you ask people who are towards the end of the rope,
yeah, who are on their deathbed.
who are on their deathbed, if you ask those people like what their biggest regrets in life, most of them are going to be something that they didn't do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, really, they are.
Yep.
I wish I would have done more, or I wish I would have done X. So that's something that they wanted to do at some point and just never acted upon it.
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Wayne Gretzky,
Michael
Yes.
Scott,
slash Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
I mean,
philosopher, great philosopher, Michael
both
Scott.
of them. My, how the turntables.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, honestly, Emily, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
It shouldn't be.
We're opening new doors. We're opening new doors.
Yeah,
Here on Faith and
this
Frames.
is hard for me. I don't even like the sound of my voice. I was telling them that, and
Nobody does. Nobody
yeah,
does.
that's what you said. So I'm just
Nobody
like,
does.
this is good practice. If you do want me to do a YouTube channel where I voice over and stuff, this had to be done. This is a stepping stone, and I'm
Yes.
trying to say yes more.
Yes.
and just do it.
Sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off.
Bingo.
Yes, it
Rip it
hurts.
off.
Just do it.
It's
But,
gonna hurt. It's
yeah.
gonna be ugly at first. It's gonna be
Yeah,
ugly.
but it really wasn't as bad as I thought it would
No.
be.
No.
And it never is.
No, it's not.
Just do it. Well, the Airstream was pretty bad, but yeah, just do it.
but you
it's
did
done.
it. It's done.
We did it.
You did it. It's done.
9 hours a day for 3 months.
Hey, worth it.
By the way, what is the ultimate goal with the Airstream? I think me and Jared have an idea, but just for the audience, what was the ultimate goal? Because we've talked about the
Yes.
project, but we didn't talk
That's
about
a good
the actual
point.
result.
This is actually one of the projects that may actually make us money in the long run.
Love
so
it.
far,
Even
it has
better.
just cost a fortune.
Yeah.
But right now, the goal was we had people that have come over to our shop all over the United States. It's been so cool
Right.
having people come over and take
More of those
knife
geeks.
making classes and meeting these really cool people. And they are having to stay at hotels or
okay.
if they don't have the money for a hotel, they have to
Light
stay
bulb.
in my house. So we
Yeah.
needed a place anyway for people to stay.
There you go.
And we live in the Appalachian Mountains.
Rural.
So you've already got like the mountains
Yes.
there. One of the guys came from Montana and he had never seen lightning bugs before.
what?
And so
Yeah, they don't have them out there.
it blew his mind seeing lightning bugs
Wow.
at our property for the first time. And I was like, we need to capitalize more on this.
Yes, we
of
do.
people staying here.
How old was this man?
He was like probably in his 40s.
Poor
Never
childhood
seen-
experience unlocked.
Never seen lightning bugs before in his life.
Wow.
Crazy.
So so instead of sending him like, oh yeah, those are lightning
Go stay at
bugs,
the
how
Hampton
cool,
Inn.
go to the Carnegie.
Yeah.
And
Carnegie's
so
very nice, by the way. But
yeah,
still,
he was fine.
Right,
okay,
right.
but why not make it more of an Appalachian experience?
Yeah.
You're already
There you
coming
go.
here anyway and spending
Not
all this
Appalachian
money.
either for all you
No,
people who
Heck no.
pronounce it
I got in so
Appalachian.
much trouble when I first moved here. It's Appalachian. Don't
Thank
you
you.
dare try to
Do
say
not.
it.
Don't you dare.
No.
They will.
We'll kick you
Don't
out.
you
They're
curse my
brutal
mountains.
here. But yeah, so they just make it more of an experience. So
Yes.
kind of Airbnb it or make it part of like
Part of the experience.
if you do a knife making class, a
Bingo.
weekend knife making class, and
Yep.
you can stay on the property.
That's
Perfect.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Love it.
I
That's
think
beautiful.
it'll be
Love it.
so much fun. And if not, I sell the Airstream.
There you
It's
go.
not a big deal.
Less
you
beautiful,
know?
but still profitable.
Yeah,
Hey, there you
exactly.
go.
Like I still put my heart and soul into it,
Yes.
and I can get something out of it. It's
There
not
you
a
go.
bad thing, no matter what.
I think we'll stick with the lightning bugs. I think that sounds.
I love it.
I like that.
That's
Yeah.
that's a
I just couldn't
heartwarming
believe
story.
it.
Like
Yeah,
that a lot.
a grown man
Yes.
experiencing
Lightning
lightning bugs
bugs
for the first time.
first time.
Did you let him run through the field and catch it with a mason jar? Because that's what we talk about in all of our
he
country
didn't.
songs.
I should have grabbed a mason jar. No,
Dang
he'll
it.
have to come back.
Missed opportunity.
I'll tell him to
Bingo.
come back.
Mr. Montana, next time you come back, bring
Yep.
a mason jar.
Yep, next June, you just come on back. We'll get you a mason
Bingo.
jar.
So we've challenged Emily on this episode. I'm going to challenge
Yeah,
the
you did.
listeners and the followers of this podcast.
Start
Go follow
that
the
YouTube
Maker
channel.
Duo. Or start a YouTube channel.
Sorry, we cross-pollinated
Just hit record.
there.
Yeah, we weren't on the same page there. But hey, do them both because they're both sound pieces of advice. Go follow the Maker Duo.
Link in description below.
Hold this couple accountable. Help us hold this couple accountable.
That's what it takes, though, for me.
Jared
Like,
just
yeah.
leveraged you.
Listen,
Man.
hold them accountable because help us.
Help us help you help them.
Okay,
All the helps.
I'm gonna say like March.
Oh, wow.
Like, not for the car. Oh,
Oh,
my
okay,
goodness.
gotcha,
That's going to
gotcha,
take me like, I don't know. I don't know a time frame for the
Like
car
10
because I don't
years
know
probably.
the first thing about a car. But
learn.
like to actually start the YouTube channel and maybe post like some of our projects. Like we've done like so many projects this year and just actually put it in a YouTube form.
Yeah, you probably
and
have a
then
backlog
voice
that you
over
can go
it.
ahead and start posting.
Yes.
We can
I
help
have
you.
So
Yeah.
many on my phone.
We can help you.
Yeah.
I know a couple guys.
Know a couple guys.
Jared, our audience have a couple of things that they can do.
Yeah.
Whether or not they like this podcast, they can still give us a few things in return for listening, correct?
Feedback, yeah.
There we go.
Feedback in the form of feedback, stars, bars, all of these things. Give us a rating.
Good
Be
or bad.
sure to leave us a review.
Yes.
And if this is something that's resonated with you, reach out and say, hey, I'd love to chat more about this.
Find Emily at a Walmart.
Find Emily at a Walmart.
I
She
love
hides in the
that
cornflake
now.
aisle.
I used to, but now that we have something to talk about, I'm good.
Okay.
Hangs
Ask
around the
her-
cereal aisle.
Ask her about her S3.
There you go. There you
I
go.
will rant for 10 minutes.
There you go.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
you
for
for-
making the journey down from the big old J Burrow.
Yes. The booming metropolis. We certainly appreciate
Oldest
it.
town in Tennessee, by the way.
Sweet.
You came to the second oldest town. Did you know that? Do you know Greenville's the second
I
oldest
didn't
town?
know that.
Also
Yeah.
the second largest county by
Solid history.
land
Area
mass.
wise.
Oh,
You
I
do know
believe- I
that
do
because
know
you
that,
work it in your
yes.
professional
Yeah.
career.
Yes, I did. Oh,
A lot of windshield time.
Oh my
in
gosh.
Glen County.
Because there's
Yeah.
there's 1,000 ways to get everywhere, but they all suck.
None of them are good. None of them are good.
I mean, that's how I could describe Greenville.
yes.
Jared,
that's
here's the
very
hard
good
part.
description.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week. Until then, see you later.
See y'all
you,
in the next
bye.
one. Bye.